What a special day, Anthony. You, me, back together again like a good old family reunion.
Any day I get to see you is a special day.
Aw, special in the pejorative sense, though, I'm sure. But let's see what happens.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. We've got Mr. Anthony Melchior right over there. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman. Anthony, oh, my goodness. So great to see you, my friend. I missed you last week.
Yeah, me too, man. I got a couple things going on. You had Hunter. How was Hunter, man? I was so upset that I didn't go.
I'm going to tell you all about that in just 1 second. I know some of you heard a little bit about it last week when we had on David Pepper, although Anthony wasn't here. David Pepper, of course, is the Chief Development Officer with Choice Hotels International. Great conversation wrapping up that event. Before I share anything, Anthony, congratulations on your daughter graduating. That is so freaking exciting for you. You now you're muted.
My oldest twin graduated 6 months ago, but ceremony was online on Thursday and Friday. And then my other daughter, her sister, younger sister by 5 minutes, is graduating actually in person Saturday. So it'll be our first in-person graduation, which we're really looking forward to. And a couple other news that I'll tell you off air, which is interesting and fun and exciting. Well, my nephew actually is graduating next year with an engineering degree from Manhattan College.
Yeah.
And I just got him an internship with an engineer that works in my neighborhood, actually lives around the corner from me. And he just came over this morning and told us that he got his first internship and he's actually getting paid. So good.
That's great. So I want to just make it clear, Anthony and I did not have a major fight this weekend, although it looks like Anthony suffered from it. What happened to you, brother?
Well, you should see the other guys, they say. What's wrong? What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with my face.
Right. I hear you, Scarface. Yeah, no big deal. It looks beautiful. Oh, my goodness. What happened there? Oh.
Okay. Any baseball fans know when Millie Mays made that great catch over his head like this and then threw it in the infield? Well, I was in the outfield. I was running towards the fence, say. It's not really fence. And I'm running, and I'm like this. I'm running this way as the ball's coming over my head. I catch the ball, greatest catch of my life ever. And all of a sudden, a tree decided, and not like a bush, but like a tree branch, decided that the branch needed to be in my face.
Oh.
And it hit me here. What happened was I had glasses on. I had them tight. They were sunglasses. They were really tight. Thank God, because it actually was going in my eye here.
Yeah.
But somehow, because I was running fast, it kind of glided off my glasses because they were tight to my face. So I had that rubber thing on.
Right.
So I had it tight to my face. So it went off my eye and went and hit my face. If that went in my eye, I'd be talking to you with a patch over my eye today.
Oh, my goodness. That would not have been.
I caught the ball, but the ball bounced out because the tree knocked me back.
Well, I'm glad you're healthy, but I was looking forward to do a pirate-themed show today. So I've been practicing yars all weekend.
So I missed you, man. I thought we were going to talk over the weekend. We didn't talk over the weekend.
I know, my fault. I got to be honest with you, Anthony. The Hunter Hotel Investment Conference, so wonderful, so motivating, but incredibly exhausting. Somehow I managed to get through my Friday night audit show that we do every Friday night at 5:00 live Eastern time. But after that, dude, I was a mess. I needed to recover. I needed to lie around. I needed to stare in space for a couple of days and process everything that happened. I got to tell you, I'm not used to doing the conference routine anymore. I thought this was tiring, doing shows every single day. Heck no, this is easier than speaking all day long with people, hosting panels, being in the midst of things.
As I was going to say, you're the only journalist allowed in, right?
Yeah, well, there was a couple of other people. Our friends over at Hotel News Now were there, but that was pretty much it. It was very, very quiet on the journalism side. But I got to tell you, Anthony, about 1,200 people showed up to the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. What an incredible number of people, and it was so fantastic.
And were there fist bumps or were there hugs and kisses?
Everything. So here's how it went down. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I was saying we should have a guide that tells how people are comfortable. That was great for about the first 45 minutes. Once everybody felt comfortable, once everybody was into it, everybody just went back to the way it was. It was like a family reunion.
But it took a minute. It took a minute.
But as soon as everybody got comfortable, it was like, bring it in. Let's just not have the perfunctory, hey, good to see you hug, but the holy shit, I missed you. I can't believe we got through this hug over and over and over.
And most people were vaccinated?
Yes. There was nobody that I was really interacting with that wasn't vaccinated at all. Although they used the Clear Health Pass thing to make sure that you answered all the questions right, that you had the temperature taken, all of that kind of good stuff. Acted as a really good bridge to get us back to it. But I'll tell you, Anthony, no matter how much that first day felt like a family reunion, that second day felt downright suspiciously normal. How amazing is that?
Could you imagine a year ago us doing this? And it's amazing. What did people say about the show? Did people mention the show?
All right, it's a little hard. It's a little hard to understand what was going on with the show itself. Now, I'm sure business got done, but I really felt that, at least in the case of me, and I've got some nice business leads. Thank you, everybody, for talking to me about that, about some upcoming events you might be having, some other stuff that we could do together. But it really felt as if everybody just had to get to it. Everybody rode in on their training wheels, trying to remember how to ride that bike. But the time everyone left, we were all experts once again, sussing each other out, figuring out how we were going to go forward, getting over the hump of having to do that first major industry event. All of that happened. Now, I think as we get into it and we go to the America's Lodging Investment Summit, Alice, at the end of July, that one from the gate is going to be normal, in my opinion. I think it's going to be everybody's going to be doing business, feeling productive. But I will say, Anthony, people felt confident. People felt ready. People are looking for opportunity.
But did people mention our show? Like, what did they listen? What did they think during the pandemic? Was it helpful?
This makes me feel uncomfortable. But yes, a lot. And a lot of incredible things were said to me on behalf of us. All of the great guests that we had on, how we really brought a community together. How we really brought a community of people together to go through this, how everyone was open, how everyone was honest, how we all tried to figure a way out of this kind of stuff. Also, our visibility just soared. Everybody knew who we were. It was absolutely amazing. So many people coming up to me saying, like they would listen to our audio only version and they'd be like, and who are you? I'm like, I'm Glenn. I do an internet show. And they're like, oh, what is it called? I'm like, No Vacancy. Oh my God, you're Glenn. I can't believe I'm getting to talk to you. Where's Anthony? This is exciting. So it felt so good after working our butts off for 14, 15 months, putting positive energy out into the universe, trying to be a guiding light, to have a little love come back our way. Extremely uncomfortable, but amazing.
You know, it's interesting that you felt uncomfortable with that, because I would not feel comfortable with that at all, because I really feel like there's a bond between us and the community now, right, that really, hopefully will never happen again. Even if it did, we'll just do what we were doing. So it was a moment in time that will never come back to us. There was a pandemic, boom, we're alive, boom, we're getting the greatest guest in the hospitality industry. That will never happen again. And to basically coming out of this and now kind of like seeing it in the rearview mirror almost, because now it's just our show. Now it's not about the pandemic. Now it's just our show. Now it's going to get even bigger and better, and you'll see us on sites and stuff. I just think that I would just absorb that and just appreciate it. And I would not feel uncomfortable with that at all, because it wasn't about us. It was about helping the community and the community helping us. So I'm glad.
And Anthony, and we did that. And it felt so great to hear that. Like I knew it, I felt it. But to have so many people coming out and share that positivity with us was absolutely incredible. So I think the only thing left to do is keep marching forward and keep having amazing guests. What do you think? We should get to it? All right, let's bring on Mr. Jon Weitz of Avocet Hospitality Group. John, so great to meet you on camera. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Good to see you, Glenn. Good to see you, Anthony. How are you today?
Good, John. Were you at the Hunter Conference or no?
I was. We brought a team there, and I would just echo exactly what Glenn said. It was amazing. It just felt so good to be back in that environment. And it was about 45 minutes of mask and clear checks and temperature checks, and before you knew it, we were all back to normal again. And again, being safe. I don't want to say that we weren't being safe, but it was good.
Yeah, that's great. So how did you feel on the business productivity side of things, John? Because I was a little unsure. I mean, it was okay for me, but I'm always kind of that square peg in a round hole kind of deal. You're always trying to do hotel deals with hotel people. I'm trying to get people to, have me do speaking engagements, advertise, all that kind of stuff. A little bit different. Did you find that people were ready to do business, or were they so consumed with trying to figure out how to do conferencing again that maybe that wasn't as front and center?
No, I thought, and I will tell you, this was my first Hunter conference, and because of the way that our company has grown, we are just now starting to try to get to the point of where we're networking, and so, but we did a lot of meeting and greeting and talking about deals and figuring out how to move forward, and quite honestly, not a whole lot of talk about the pandemic, just really getting back to normal of how do we move forward, kind of the theme that we all heard through the 3 days that we were there.
Right. And everything that was pandemic related was, let's put it in the rear view mirror. We're now going to focus. We're going to take what's going on with the market trends and try to capitalize on it. So, John, I do want to hear about what attracted you to that event. But before we do that, let's set the stage for everybody who doesn't know who Avocet Hospitality Group is. I know you're based out of South Carolina. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what the company is all about.
Okay. Well, thank you. So we started in 2008. I'll go back, and just because it's in the news this week, I got my start in the hotel industry at Key Island Golf Resort, where the PGA Championship is being played this week. So I got my first taste basically working with getting the sanctuary built and open, and then also the Ocean Course Clubhouse and the golf course. So, I got my start in a place that's going to make international headlines today. And so what a great place to start. But so we started, my wife and I started Avocet in 2006, really started as a vacation management company here in Charleston. And that was really the platform that allowed us to acquire our first hotel. It is the Tides Hotel on Folly Beach, 132 oceanfront rooms. And I'll move through this real quickly, but
it's good.
It was all about trying to create an independent portfolio, a portfolio of independent hotels.
Right.
And so we started with the Tides, and then quickly moved on and got to the Venue in downtown Charleston, a boutique inn that needed to be repositioned. That hotel was built in 1780. And then we go ahead. You want
1780?
1780, yes.
Freaking cool.
Warehouses right on the waterfront that were converted into a hotel, and it just needed some repositioning. And then staying with our vacation management, we've started a company in St. Bart's, which obviously it still has not reopened due to the pandemic, but we do vacation rentals in St. Bart's as well. And then most recently, as your backdrop shows, is the Reed House in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Take a look. Yeah,
Yep.
There it is right there. Beautiful.
But really what we focus on and have focused on is really situations where a hotel just needs to be repositioned, and there is a story to be told, and it just hasn't been told yet. And so it's a business plan of acquisition, close, reposition, tell the story, and reopen. And the story is not one, it has to be authentic to the actual hotel for us. That's our business model. It needs to have an authentic story.
And that's one of the
different investors, or is it just you guys own, manage, and invest? Or is
we own, manage, and invest. So we 100% own all of our hotels at this point.
Wow.
So you don't look for outside investment. You're able to basically bring those on and manage those and reposition them. And how long is your hold? Do you usually hold them long term, or are you looking to flip them in 5-6 years?
We've never sold one.
Wow.
Well, we only have 3. And so again, it's because we bought the Tides in 2008, we bought the Venue in 2012, and we bought Reed House in 2016, and really don't have any plans on trying to sell them. It's really about building that portfolio of uniquely situated properties. And why I said this was my first Hunter conference is, as we've gone along the way, we've identified hotels that we thought were uniquely situated and had a great story to tell and could be inspiring to guests. And when we've approached it, the owners have said, yes, we love what you do. We understand that you're storytellers at heart. You're about the guest experience, but we don't want to sell our hotel. And we said, okay, well, if you ever do, call us. And so why we ended up at Hunter is we've now decided, in order to try to expedite the growth of our portfolio, we want to invest. And then if that owner then has an exit strategy down the road, we would retain a right of first refusal in order to then basically try to jumpstart our pipeline. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. And I really love your emphasis on older buildings. I'm a huge sucker, Jon. Anybody who watches this show knows I love adaptive reuse buildings. And the idea that you took buildings that were first built in 1780 and then modernized the interior and then created the venue is something so cool to me, and really goes to me about the whole philosophy of being what a great hotelier is. And they love those buildings.
So Jon, in the 1780, what's the one thing from that building you found or discovered that really stands out to you that you kept either in your personal in your home, or you kept in the hotel that you were really surprised by?
I wouldn't say surprised, but we're down on the waterfront, and so as we basically had to redo all the flooring, and so we found liquor bottles underneath the building dating back to Prohibition days. And you can probably tell I'm at my house today. I was trying to make sure I didn't get interrupted at the office, so I'm headed to the office from here. And I was looking towards my garage because I think the liquor bottles are in my garage, but I don't know that I could go find them real quick. But there was probably about 20 liquor bottles that dated back to the 1930s that we found underneath the building.
That's cool.
Yep. And then wallpaper, as you know, with every readapt.
And what kind of liquor was it? Was it labeled, or was it like moonshine bottles?
No, it was labeled, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but I know there were. I specifically remember there being some rye bottles, and I don't know that I've ever actually had rye, so but a lot of rye bottles.
Tell everyone Thomas Jefferson owned them. You can make a fortune.
Well, it goes back to being authentic. We don't make up stories. It has to be real.
Yeah, I often said it. When you take over a hotel and all these brands, they're trying to recreate the brands and trying to recreate, kind of make a story around their brand, which it makes sense and is part of our business. But it's so much more fun when you walk into a building and the building tells you, this is my story. Like those bottles underneath the building tells you the story of that building. It says, hey, I'm old, but I want to be cool again. And you don't have to really, like, you have a PR company to kind of bring it out there for you, but you listen to the building, and the building does the rest.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that. And I'll go back in history a little bit. When I said I started at Kiowa, the group that owns Kiowa, also while I was there, we purchased the Hermitage Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, if you're familiar with that hotel.
Yeah.
And so I was involved with the acquisition, not for our own group, but for the group that I was previously working for. And that's really where I got my taste for the storytelling, Anthony, that you're talking about, because the Hermitage just had such a great history from where it was the headquarters for women's suffrage. Minnesota Fats lived in the building and would shoot pool on the mezzanine level. And so we found it really easy, not only to figure out how we would design and program it, but what the vibe of the building. And I use that word vibe a lot because I think vibe is very important. Maybe it's overused, I don't know. But it tells you what the soul of the hotel is supposed to be, as opposed to trying to make it up. And so we spent an enormous amount of time. And like I said, I'm not talking about my hotels. I know I'm supposed to, but that Hermitage story taught me we spent more hours in the history archives, and all of that led to coming up with a great experience for the guests, both in terms of how we designed it, how we programmed it, and then ultimately how we operated it. But most importantly, you're able to tell your employees a story that they can hold on to because they know you just didn't make it up in the PR room as to what it was supposed to be, and they can go back and see that it's authentic.
And there's a pride that comes with that, and that you really. I saw at the Algonquin firsthand that as we're doing this, and we're just doing it, and I'm not, I'm staying true to the soul of the building, but I'm not really thinking about the pride of the building or the pride of the employees or how that combines. And I'd say about 90 days after we opened, people's chests were just sticking out and people standing straighter. And people like, I work at the Algonquin, whereas before it was the Algonquin was. Now it was the Algonquin is, and it was such a enlightening thing for me. And it's beautiful, and you really can't train that kind of pride or even talk about that kind of pride. You either feel it from your building or you don't feel it from your building. And I don't think the word vibe is overused. I think it's misused. And because vibe doesn't mean cool South Beach, vibe doesn't mean hanging out and everybody partying. A vibe is like when I'm looking at your backdrop, it looks like a green screen you're living in, right? That's your vibe. That's the way you want to live. That's how you live. You live in an open space. You don't like a lot of walls. And that's, you have clean lines, but you also have some beautiful furniture and some built-ins, and that's your vibe. And that's, so important when you look at a building. The programming is got to support the vibe, not vice versa.
A couple of quick things. Dee Patel is the managing director over there. She's a friend of the show, so I want to say hello to her for doing such a great job. Michelle MacArthur loves the Hermitage Hotel in Nashville. Michelle, I think it's your birthday, so happy birthday out there, Michelle. Thanks for taking time to watch us.
Happy birthday, my fellow Gemini.
No, not the Tides in Virginia. This is one of his properties in Chattanooga. So
no, Tides is in Folly Beach.
Sorry, Folly Beach. My apologies.
South Carolina.
My folly thinking I had that correct. Sorry, I'm not going to do my drum rim sound effect on that one. So
no, but what Anthony was just saying is so true. And I'm looking at the picture again of the Reed House. The Reed House is as best as we can tell, the longest continuously operated hotel in the South. It's never closed its doors since 1872. Whether there was famine, whether there was floods, yellow fever,
any locust problems.
We could not find any time. And so I know we don't want to talk about the pandemic, but
no, we can in terms of, the past relating to the future. It's all good. Don't just avoid it.
We did not close that hotel. And so we stayed open, had obviously like 2 or 3 rooms a night, but we were not going to break the streak of that hotel. And, Anthony, when you talk about people puffing their chests out, the Reed House in Chattanooga is the icon of the city. Everybody's grandmother taught them how to use silverware in the green room restaurant. Everyone had their prom, birthday, wedding in the silver ballroom. And it was one of those, when you say the Algonquin was, the building the hotel had fallen into disrepair. It had been run in, I won't mention brands, but it fell into the brand and role and lost its history and all this great architecture and all these great memories. And we actually had the great-great-grandson of Samuel Reed, who built it, who has come on and said, I cannot believe what you've done. But more importantly, the employees feel that they've been teleported back to 1926 when the current version of the Reed House was built. And you can't fake that. It's exactly that. You walk in and the employees feel like they're back in the 1920s.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I hope that they don't feel too much like the 1920s. You do want them to be able to have legal cocktails when they're coming to the hotel, though. So we got that. No problem.
We do have a speakeasy because there was a hidden bar, and actually most of the liquor in Chattanooga, because we're doing the modern version of a radio show, the local radio broadcast out of the basement, and the liquor was stored in the warehouse space right next to the radio station during Prohibition. So the Reed House was the storehouse for all liquor in Chattanooga.
It would be cool to do a podcast out of there, like even once a month, and talk about the history of that area and talk about the history of the hotel, and just kind of to bring that back. I know at the Algonquin we did something. It was before podcasting, but we did a radio show called Talk of the Town, and we had everybody from Kurt Vonnegut on.
Wow.
To Linda Ellaby. We even had Bonanno on, his first name's but the godfather of the Bonanno crime family. We had everybody, like, they would just come as they are. They stayed in the hotel, they're in the area. I would just get to know them, and they would come to the table. There'd be 6 or 7 of us. I would produce it and host it, and we would just talk. And to see Linda Ellaby and the head of the Bonanno crime family talking was kind of pretty coolest thing. Matter of fact, Kurt Vonnegut got up, and when he got up, Bill Bonanno happened to be in the hotel, and he had just had a book about his father, and who's actually, The Godfather was written about. And I said, Mr. Bonanno, we're having a radio show. Would you mind sitting down? And he looked at me and he goes, Anthony, for you, anything, because we did a Thanksgiving dinner for his family and he loved. And he sat down. So Kurt Vonnegut got up. Bill Bonanno sat down talking to Linda Ellaby. I'm sitting there going, I'm in the hotel business. It's just simply because I was doing what the hotel did 100 years ago. People from all walks of life sat around that round table and spoke.
Now, listen, Anthony, that might be a big deal, but I get to do a show with Anthony Melchiorri and Jon Weitz. Now, that is what we talk about.
Anthony Melchiorri that gets into prison, John,
you know what? We're talking about adaptive reuse and all those kinds of things, but why are you attracted to these types of projects? Why not just go partner with a big branded hotel company, engage in a prototype, and build a brand new hotel? What's the difference to you?
They're boring.
You beat me to the punch, and I wouldn't say boring because I think that every hotel has its place. You can look at it. It's basically in our mission statement. Why don't I do that? Because it wouldn't be fun. And that's why when we created Vendu in Charleston, we got approached so many times because Vendu is a contemporary art hotel. So we've got a 1780s building. And it's making me think, because I am looking at my background right now, and Anthony's talking about the contemporary art on the walls. My house is because of the Vendu. And the reason is Charleston, you would think of cobblestone streets, gold frames, pictures of marsh scenes. And we said, you know what, that's been done. But where that hotel is located, we are in the French Quarter, which is the art district of Charleston.
Awesome.
And we sat around and we kept trying to figure out, okay, we had acquired the hotel. We're like, what story are we going to tell? Not just the history part of it, but what are we going to do? And I use this all the time, so I'll give plugs to somebody else. We always talk about the Peabody in Memphis. Why does everybody go to the Peabody in Memphis?
The Ducks.
The Ducks. So you could talk to anybody in my organization and we say, what is going to be our Peabody Duck?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody at the time when we repositioned Vendu was doing contemporary art.
Interesting.
There wasn't an art hotel. 21C, when we decided to do a contemporary art hotel at the Vendu, I didn't know who 21C was.
Right.
I was not an art collector, so it's not anything that was passionate to me. And now I've got contemporary art on my walls because I bought into it. But we got there because we were surrounded by 72 art galleries.
That's 1 second. For people who don't know what 21C museum hotels are, they were started by a couple. They focused high on art. It really created a great reason for people to come into the community, from the community, eat, drink, enjoy the art. And I think they wound up selling it to Accor Hotels, John, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony, take it away.
Yeah, and basically it goes back to what we were talking about. History, just pay homage to the history. Now you're having programming, so you're going to program the way people live today. Now we're going to decide in those two things. We're going to decide, okay, we're going to pay homage to the history. We know the programming we want it to be like the people live today, but what's the vibe? Okay, so the history and the programming, okay, that's there. But now what's the vibe? So what can we have with the vibe that actually complements the program and the history? That is what most people get wrong. And you got it perfectly right, because contemporary art brings that vibe.
Well, and I thank you for saying that. We hope we get it right. Just like anyone, we make mistakes along the way, and then we correct and learn from them and get better every day. But that's really when you talk about the vibe. And I'm going to put my fists together, because we sat there when we talked about our Peabody Duck. Our Peabody Duck was going to be that collision.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a 1780s building with 1780s architecture and colliding it with contemporary art, really avant-garde art. We've had the New York Academy of Art do a show there. And we've had artists from LA that have brought in spectacular pieces, and we are always on the hunt for the next piece. You add that with the music and the lighting that is not anywhere close to what a 1780s would look like, but you've walked in with the wrought iron gates, with the architecture, with the windows, with the balconies, and something makes you stop. And really, I feel like I'm on a sales pitch, and I don't mean to be that way, But what we tell everyone is, I don't know if you're going to like the art that we put in there. I don't know if you're going to like that we collided historical architecture with contemporary art.
Right.
But I made you think, and
That's
I made you notice.
Well,
And
number one, that's what art is for, John. And I love the juxtaposition of the modern and the historic. I think it elevates it. And it, like you said, makes you think and be inquisitive and really you have to focus on it. Too much art in hotels and too much design in hotels simply vanishes to the backdrop and doesn't command being paid attention to. So I love that particular attitude.
Yeah. It's similar. If you look at a black tie affair, right? We've all been to black tie affairs, and there's that one person wearing that tuxedo that's a little bit different, or that bow tie that's a little different, or that handkerchief that's a little different. And they're looking for a little bit of attention. They're looking for it to kind of like, hey, it's formal, but let's have a little fun. And again, that's their vibe. That's the vibe. Everybody else looks like a duck. That person looks like, hey, it look not a duck, a penguin. Everybody, and then they bring a little flair to themselves. And I think that is kind of when you have a historic property that you have to make sure you don't disrespect it by going too far, but just bringing a little pop of vibe and fun is so. And you have the nuance, John. Just talking to you for a few minutes, there's a nuance about you. And that's why it's so important for you to stay in this kind of realm, because we have enough people buying and brands and flipping brands. We have enough of those people, right? We need people that understand these buildings, want to put the money into the buildings, because I would imagine the first one you did, you probably invested more money than most people would have, and most people said you were crazy. So tell us about that story.
Well, I mean, probably the Reed House is the one that I would tell you about the most. Yeah, like I said, it had been operated for years, being branded and really in disrepair, and was really being operated as a hotel that had lost its soul, for lack of a better way. It was down on its luck. And people did think we were crazy. That hotel was not one of those off markets that we found. It had been marketed for a while, and everybody turned away from it because nobody knew what to do with it. There was talk of it being converted into a senior living facility. There was talk about it being turned into a Hard Rock, which, by the way, I love Hard Rock, so don't anybody think that I don't like Hard Rocks. There was talk about turning it into I think a True, all sorts of different things. And we looked at it, and we ended up putting $28 million into it.
Wow. That's a little bit different than creating
how many rooms? How many rooms?
241.
Whew. Okay, so cost per key, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. But here's the reason why. We basically, all of the guest room floors, we carved out. We didn't just wallpaper. We took down every wall, every plumbing stack, everything, record. We relaid out the guest rooms in its entirety. And the reason why we were able to get away there is because the architectural structure of the public areas was there, and all it needed to be was just shined up and buffed. From the Russian walnut in the lobby, from the silver leaf and the 1920 chandeliers that were in the silver ballroom, it was all there. It was just dusty and old. So the public areas, we really didn't have to do a whole lot except to recreate the restaurant, and then to create the speakeasy bar that I was talking about, our bar and billiards room. But all of that was basically spent to just put the shock paddles onto the building, reinvent what was there. And then the juxtaposition there, quite honestly, we looked at it and we saw articles, again, went back into the archives and found black and white pictures from the 1920s of people sitting there in 1920s, like literal pictures from 1920 of people at the hotel. And it hit us. It was like, it's a Gatsby hotel. And it had never been branded as a Gatsby hotel, but not in the traditional sense, because there's the original Gatsby, and then there's the most current Leo DiCaprio, which is flared with, vibrant yellows and reds and purples. And you see the purple lights lighting up the building. So our juxtaposition there is we worked with a company out of LA to specifically deliver the playlist that is day parted. And as the day, it is moving as if you are moving into a Gatsby party. And when you pull up, you are the guest of honor at that Gatsby party. And by the way, you get to spend the night there. But it has a modern vibe. So all of our music starting at 5, you feel the 20s, but it's fused with rap.
Well, that's really funky. I got to hear some of that playlist. That would be really
It's something.
Again, taking the historic, combining it with the modern to create something wholly new that people aren't very accustomed to. I love that idea, Anthony. You're saying.
You know, when you're doing things like this is kind of where you lose people, right? If you don't do it well. When you say that to me, you have to be so nuanced about it and so purposeful, because too many people do things. I mean, there's one hotel that just opened I won't mention. It's very in your face. It's like it's so in your face. And this is subtle. This is like when you're taking the 20s and you're taking rap music and you're doing it with contemporary, like you're just doing it in a really cool way. It can't be too in your face because you're going to isolate people. And this is one of the things that people don't really understand about market segmentation. In a hotel, you really want everyone to feel comfortable. You're at a certain price point. So that price point really sets the customer base that you're looking for. Now, some of those price points are going to be extended because a person that normally can't afford that hotel will maybe go for a special event or they're there for a wedding party. So they're like, hey, this is a little bit expensive for me, but wow, look at this. This is so cool. This is so different. And then somebody who higher end that can afford something like this, they're like, what? Rap music, contemporary art? But it's cool. It's not in my face. And that's what you're trying to do when you build a hotel and when you develop an old hotel. And it is almost, I would say, if you take the medical field and you take brain surgery as being the most difficult, if that's the case, then I think converting a historic building to a hotel that functions in 2021, but really throws a nod to history, but also has fun, is the brain surgery of our industry.
Well, and I'll tell you the way you do that. If you were to take away first the personalities of the employees and then turn the music off, you walked in, it looks exactly like it would have looked in 1926. The chandeliers, the artwork, the flooring, the furniture, the uniforms. I mean, our guys are out front and they're in bowler hats and vests and everything.
Yeah, you see some of that here, right?
Yeah. And then you really do. And then all of a sudden, coming back to what we talked about, the vibe kicks in. And it's like, wait a second, what's going on here? Because they're not playing 1920s Ella Fitzgerald. They're playing Ella Fitzgerald, but somewhere there's a thump in there that's not supposed to be there. And why is that happening? And why is the lighting now all of a sudden moving? And why is the servers, why are they wearing flapper dresses and they're required to have the feathers in their hair? But you know what? We don't even have to require them. Our servers are now picking out their own flapper dresses and their own headgear and doing their own makeup because they want to transport themselves. And really, again, I feel like I'm giving a sales pitch, but I hate to do it.
All right,
our employees buy into it so much.
John, if you were giving a sales pitch, you've been cut off 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is great. I love the idea of hotel staff cosplay. This is
there's definitely that they're taking the lead and then saying, "Hey, are we okay to do it?" And we're like, "Yeah." And you know, we talk about the independents versus the brands. That's why I love being an independent, because I can have someone who's working in my bar and billiards room and they can say, "Can we do this?" And the answer is yes.
Right.
If it doesn't work, we can say no. We don't have to check with anyone.
And you just said, you know, transporting and just it's transformational. When you walk, especially now after the pandemic and everybody's so tired and people want experiences. When you go on vacation, you don't want to tell people what to do. You want people to tell you what to do. So when I go to your hotel, you're telling me what to do. You're telling me to be in this vibe. You're telling me to be in this environment. You're telling me it's okay to kind of be transported back to this. Like, this is what you need to do. You need to drink this kind of drink. You need to eat this kind of meal. You need to be in this kind of vibe. That's what we want you. So when you're out on the street and you see a flapper dress, maybe you'll buy one. You know, maybe you'll come back. Maybe you'll buy some. You'll put some feathers in your hair. And that's what, like, when you look at theme parks, you look at Disney World. For better or worse, that's what they did.
Right.
You came and they took you. And hotels have got to take you. You know, there are hotels that you need as a utility, and then there are hotels that you just want to embrace you and say, "Come on our ride." And everything you just described, I want to go.
Well, Anthony, it's funny that you bring up Disney, and everybody wants to emulate Disney. I mean, it's just not. They just hit it so well with creating and transporting you to a place that you're not supposed to be. And it reminds me of something that I'd say with my team, and it's a story I read about Walt Disney. And you may know this, but so his brother tells a story of in the fifth grade. Walt Disney was in class and the teacher asked them to paint flowers, and they walked by and the teacher stopped at Walt's desk and all of his flowers had smiley faces on them. And the teacher said to Walt, "That's not what flowers look like." And his quote, according to his brother, again, we weren't there, "Well, what mine do." And to this day, the flowers at Disney World and Disneyland have faces on them. They breed them.
I didn't know that story because he had early success making money with cartoon shorts called Silly Symphonies, where they took classical music and mashed it up with the images. He had those smiling flowers in it as a central part of that. Little interesting.
And just interesting, two things. One, he has more Oscars, Academy Awards than any living, any person ever. He's not living, but any person ever.
Says you. Wait until he comes back after they figure out cryogenics. Just joking.
And he's basically has more Oscars. And also, when I was running Nickelodeon, which is a mile down the block from Disney World, I got his book before I even took the job as vice president. And I read the book. And the first paragraph, I believe was the first paragraph, it says, "Never build anything for children. Build it for adults and the children will follow." And when we were at Nickelodeon, before I got there, it was kind of programmed to children and almost forgot about adults. And we started kind of really incorporating adult menus and bars and really making it for adults. And I thought that was fascinating. And again, it goes back to, you don't want your market segmentation. It looks, Disney World, everybody looks like it's for kids, but it's not. It's for adults. I mean, there's more adults and more old people and more weddings there than I guarantee there's more adults on the daily any daily walk through the park than there are kids. And that's the secret of transformation. That's the secret of understanding not people like children or adults, human behavior, and kind of how you can hit a button. And we've all been there, right? Whether it be the meeting, whether it be family dynamic, there's a button you push, and all of a sudden you either got that person, embraced, or you push that person away. And that's what your hotel has to do, and that's what your park has to do. You push a button, and you're going to get one or two reactions. They're going to say, "It's not my thing," or they're going to say, "I want more of this."
Well, and again, relative to the flower story, the way we've translated it into our organization is, you said he's put the smiley faces on the flowers. Well, and the teacher said, "Well, that's not right." And he was like, "Well, but it's right for me." And that's what we've said and empowered all of our people at our hotels, whether it is a collision of contemporary art with 1780s buildings, or whether it's a 1920s Gatsby mixed with rap. That's authentic to us. And our team understands that's what it is. And if you don't like it, I use one more Disney quote, or not quote, but story. How many people have gone to Space Mountain and said, "Could you turn the lights up? It's a little dark and I'm just a little," and well, then it destroys Space Mountain, right? So we stay authentic to our vision. We stay authentic to our passion. We stay authentic to our story. And if you don't like it, we understand.
Right.
But if we start taming it down and come to the middle, then we're like Space Mountain with the lights on.
It's so funny. I've seen Space Mountain with the lights on
and it's awful.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's not awesome to ride it, but it's fun.
It's awful.
It looks like a roller coaster that you've been on 100 times.
It looks it's like a cheap carnival type roller coaster. I got to see that on the People Mover once, which is a lot of fun. But Jon, I love what you're saying here, and bringing that era into the modern era. And the 20s were definitely a period that everyone called the Roaring 20s back in the day. And now it appears that we're going to have a repeat of that, a brand new Roaring 20s. Anthony called it 8-9 months ago that we're going to be headed into that once this pandemic is clearing. We're feeling that way. Masks are coming off indoors finally. How are you feeling about the prospects of the future, and what advantages do you have in the market to leverage the success you've achieved for more opportunity in the future?
Well, first of all, we're very excited about where everything is headed. And as like everyone else, we heard it over and over at Hunter, right? Weekends are back, and where everyone's looking for the midweeks. Fortunately, for right now, we've got one of our hotels, the Tides at Folly Beach, oceanfront. So it's been running close to 99% occupancy since last June. So
what?
I'm sorry.
I'm like, that was my shock. I was like, well, what? That's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're the only really full service oceanfront hotel in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you look at the beaches, we all know what Charleston is doing from, on the world stage. Mm-hmm. If you want to stay oceanfront, and now you've got the resorts, Kiowa, obviously, which I've mentioned. You've got, Wild Dunes and Isle of Palms. But if you want a full service oceanfront hotel, we're it. So with only 132 rooms, it's pretty easy to figure out why we're running that occupancy. And again, we've created an experience there as well that we haven't talked about. When we bought that hotel in 2008, and then I'll get to your answer of where we're positioning to move forward. It was a branded hotel. Again, we'll not indicate what brand it was, but someone basically just took a box and put it on the ocean. Mm-hmm. We closed it, gutted it, opened it up, and created the Tides. Right. And we got that really by creating our version of a South Beach hotel. So we've got neon columns in the lobby. It glows. We've got sisal carpet on the ceilings. That's on cool. And on and on. But it's about that experience. And so we've talked about all three hotels now. And why are we positioned? Mm-hmm. In my opinion, it's really simple. We all sat in our houses for a year.
Yep.
You want to be entertained. Mm-hmm. We've watched Netflix. We've watched reruns of Netflix. We've watched the same movie 15 times. We want authentic, real. And I'm not saying that just because that's what we create. You said, why are we positioned? Mm-hmm. If we can be authentic and we can entertain you and make you think and stop, I don't think people are getting out just because they want a firm mattress and a hot shower.
That's right.
I think they want to have experiences, whether they like them or they don't like them. And like I said, you may walk into my hotel and see a piece of art that you hate at Vendu. You may walk into the Reed House and not like the music that's playing or the flapper dresses. But I'm going to make you think.
The other day, Friday, I needed to take off a couple hours. Just needed to clear my head. I needed to go on vacation. So I was like, you know what? I need a vacation. But unfortunately, I can't go on vacation right now. So I went to the Rockaway Hotel in Rockaway Beach. Everybody knows I talk about it a lot, but I sat by the pool. They just opened last year and during the pandemic, and there was a wedding party that was kind of getting ready for the weekend. And they were just hanging out by the pool. And there was a lady listening to like 70s disco in the pool. And she's talking to her friend and she doesn't even know it. And she's talking to her friend and she's like moving. And like when there's a certain beat, she's like this with her hand. And I don't even think she's aware that she's dancing in the pool. And I had 3 appetizers, and each appetizer had flavors. Everybody's had, shrimp cocktail, different flavor of sauce. Everybody's had, tuna tartare, different flavor. Everything that I tasted had different flavors, and it was an experience. And even the drink, I said, whatever you want to bring me a drink. They brought me a drink I've never tasted before. I went on vacation for 2 hours. It was the best $120 I've ever spent in my life, because for that time, I walked in those doors, they gave me an experience, and I left and I went back to work. And I'm telling you, it brought my stress level and everything I was thinking about down significantly. And that's what hotels do if they're done right.
You got transported.
100%. If I wasn't driving, I would have gotten transported. I would have been drunk.
But I think to answer your question, that's at least the way we look at it. Is a word that's come up the entire time we've been speaking is transporting. Mm-hmm. And whether it's transporting back, I don't care where you're people are ready to be transported. And I think that hotels that provide an experience that transports you wherever they want to take you. They want to take you to the future. They want to take you back. They want to take you left, right, sideways, up, down. They want to take you to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It doesn't matter. They just want to be transported.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely sure. Anthony, I love you got the sounds of summer going on there by your house. Leaf blowers.
No, actually, it's a lot worse than leaf blowers.
Oh.
I have really big, tall shrubbery around my house, and my wife has decided that she's going to cut the shrubbery in half.
Oh.
So before, when I said I need 3 minutes to go look, I want to see how short they were cutting it. And it's not as bad as I thought, but I'm not real happy with that noise right now. That's why I keep muting myself.
Yeah, no, which is a smart thing to do. So, John, we're starting to run out of time here to talk about. What is one major lesson that you learned over the last year that you think will leverage your opportunity to find success going forward in the future?
The first word that comes to mind, and I didn't know you were going to ask that, but the first thing that came to mind as you were saying that was preparation.
Hey, I didn't know I was going to ask you too before I started talking. So
that's all right. And the reason why I say preparation is, when it all hit last March and everything was coming down and everyone was trying to figure out what are we going to do, and we had to make some decisions very quickly. And we've said this in our organization, and so I'd share that for anybody listening. We took about a week to be like, oh my God, we have to furlough 600 people in 24 hours.
Right.
What are we going to do? We kept the skeleton crew at each hotel. We got through that. And those are some of the toughest things that we've ever done. But then we took the weekend, we cried in our beer about what we had to do, the tough decisions we had to make. And then we came back Monday and started planning.
Amazing. And
started planning immediately as to all facets of what we were going to do. But the biggest thing, if you want to take the takeaway that this thing, I call it a thing, did to us, is made us even more appreciate the value of our team members and what we saw them. And we spent an inordinate amount of time gearing back up, really just making sure that our team members were okay. Not from a work standpoint, whether they knew whether they needed to wear a mask, whether they knew they needed to wash their hands or get their temperature taken. That was the easy part. The hard part was everybody through this was dealing with it differently. There was no playbook, as we've all heard.
Right.
And, Glenn, if you reacted one way, oh, I don't know, I should wear a mask. I don't know why people are doing this. If we go back through all of it and Anthony's another way, nobody was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had to recognize and make sure that we understand. And we spent a lot of time just talking about how people feel.
Right.
And making sure everyone understood that everyone's reaction to the pandemic or the issues of social justice that were coming around, nobody's opinion was wrong. Nobody's viewpoint was wrong. Everybody was accurate and needed to be respected. And so the biggest thing we learned was, and I'm looking out my window just because I'm reflecting back on those moments, is we planned and therefore spent a lot of time saying the biggest thing we can do is make sure that our people are okay mentally, financially, as best as we could. Mm-hmm. And the work would take care of itself. And so the biggest lesson that I took away is that if you take care of your team, the business will take care of itself. We talked about the labor crisis. If our people didn't feel that they were taken care of over the last year, and I hope they feel that we did, mm-hmm. those guests aren't going to be transported because they're back there just grumpy. And right. So that was our biggest takeaway, was take care of the employee.
Were you able to get the people back in the numbers that you were hoping to at this particular point?
Yeah, we're actually at all three hotels equal or exceeding what we had before March of 20.
God bless you. That is absolutely amazing. Now, John, you're not a hotelier by trade, right? I believe you started off as an attorney, if I'm not mistaken.
I really started as a numbers guy. I was a finance major out of Clemson. There, I will give that plug for Clemson University, because we were talking schools the other day. But no, I was a finance major, and then I was an attorney, and I got hospitality into my blood because I was representing golf course and resort developers as an attorney. And I didn't find the work that I was doing as an attorney real exciting, but what they were doing in building resorts and building golf courses, I thought was really, really cool. And then just through a mutual friend, I was able to make a connection with Kiawah Island Golf Resort, and we hit the road running. And I quickly moved from the in-house general counsel for Kiawah onto the development side, and started trying to design places where people just had fun. And it goes back to, why don't I do the brands? Because it wouldn't be fun.
So, and in talking to you, I was saying to myself, he is a finance guy. First, I said he was a lawyer, and I said, no, he's got to be a finance guy the way he's talking. And then, like, so yeah, it makes sense, finance lawyer. Because what people don't understand, the reason you're able to build what you're built, because if you don't have that mind, you're going to be taken advantage of. You're going to over leverage yourself. You're not going to really read the fine print. And listen, we all know you just said $23 million into a hotel that's 268 rooms or whatever it was. It cost per occupied key in that environment. I mean, you hit the jackpot. I mean, I said that's not a bad deal. No, that's a great deal. As long as you paid, I would imagine you paid a pretty good price for it. So per key, and I don't know what that market is, but if per key you did well, then the hotel will do well and gives you a little bit of room and breathing room. And what a lot of people do when they don't have that finance and a lawyer background is they pay too much, and then the operation suffers for years and years and years to come.
No, you absolutely, I agree. You have to marry the numbers with it, and everything that we do, we always come back to what's the ROI on it. And I get back that from when I was working at the resorts and when I was doing the Hermitage, it was everything has to have a payback in some way. Mm-hmm. And the way we looked at it was always the five senses. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't affect the guest in one of the five senses, why are we paying for it? Mm-hmm. And that's whether, be touch, smell. I won't remember the five in a row right now, but you get my point. Right. And so we always looked at what does that do in terms of ADR? Or what does it do in terms of occupancy? Or at a minimum, what does it do in terms of the marketing side of it, of one guest tells 10 that then drives you moving forward? So everything has a financial component to it. No questions asked.
Right. Excellent. Any final thoughts? And John, chance for a shameless plug before we let you go.
No, I mean, I think we're storytellers at heart. I mean, if you want to let me do a shameless plug, like I said, we have been out there for 13 years, basically looking for those uniquely situated hotels. We've met with a lot of owners that were not interested in selling. So we just said, thank you, because we just wanted to own and operate. We're shifting into a new business model where we are interested in partnering with people in order to tell our stories. And I think the parting shot is, I've used that word storytelling a lot. And Anthony, I really appreciate you bringing up the financial side of it, because that really goes to our mission statement, is that we truly believe profitability, at least for us, is really driven by storytelling, passion, and culture. Those are our three cornerstones: storytelling, passion, and culture. And if you mix those three in the right ingredients, the cocktail is profitability.
That's absolutely right. And if you forgot those three and you need to be reminded of them, go check out avocethospitality.com. It's right there, because it's their entire business philosophy. John, amazing speaking with you today. Thank you so much for enlightening us.
Thank you both for the time today.
I really appreciate you.
My
that was great, man. Right?
Yeah, I didn't even say goodbye to him. You cut me off.
Oh, well, let's bring him back. We'll bring him back so you can officially say goodbye.
I was going to leave to go look for the liquor bottles in the garage.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. You have a great day.
See you later, John. All right, Anthony, that was an exciting show. Now we got even more jam-packed stuff coming up this week. Tomorrow we got the incredible return of Chris Green. Even producer Dave is going to be around for a little bit on the show tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we're focusing on capital, how you could get the money, where you could get the money, why you might need the money. And then the day after that, Anthony, I'm looking forward to that, because we're going to speak to a publisher of a cruise magazine to find a little bit about what's going on in that side of the business and how our businesses are going to relate.
All I hear is Chris Green. Chris Green's going to be here tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right.
Then I'll be here. Oh, no, I won't be here. My daughter's having ACL surgery.
Yeah, I know. That's why Chris is going to be here, and Dave is going to help co-host and stuff like that while you're out taking care of your daughter's ACL surgery. All right, Anthony, let's wrap this up. I know the noise is really horrible over there for you. So remember, subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. And, of course, I'm going to remember, listen to this. I remember to put up this graphic without being reminded. Super great way to start the week. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, NoVacancyNews.com. Find Anthony and Anthony Hotels at Traveling Glen. I got to be honest with you, Anthony. I do not like the name iHeart radio. Really bothers me. It's a heart symbol. Can't you just say I love radio? Not a good name for a company. I'm sorry, guys. Don't put our show at the bottom of the list.
You know, there's a million things to be worried about. Why don't you pick something else to be worried about?
Because I like to worry about the trivial, so that way I can deal with the real problems that come to my life, Anthony. That's what I'm thinking about. All right, everybody, we'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
all right, see you tomorrow.